You're looking live on the U.S. Capitol this morning, where lawmakers just have a couple more days before another partial federal government shutdown starts in almost a matter of hours. So here's what's at stake. Funding expires at 11:59 p.m. on Thursday, and Congress must act by the end of the day to keep things up and running. Among those agencies which would be forced to close would be the Department of Health and Human Services, which includes the Atlanta-based CDC. Negotiations are stuck over Homeland Security funding, including how much money goes to immigration and customs enforcement, with Democrats demanding more oversight and Republicans warning of delays. Let's bring in political science professor at Emory University, a frequent guest here on 11 Alive, Andra Gillespie. Andra, great to have you on this morning. So how does this standoff feel different than maybe some of the past shutdown fights we've seen?
Well, this is only going to be a partial shutdown if it materializes. The goal that Democrats have in actually trying to withhold money from DHS is to provide accountability and oversight, but they actually propose taking the DHS funding out of the rest of the bill. The question is, or the challenge is that Republicans want to vote on everything. But what we should note is that there are 12 funding bills. 6 of them have already been passed. These other 6 were part of a funding package. So there are some appropriations that have been made that would proceed into February. It's just the ones that haven't been voting on yet that would be affected.
And Andra, why has DHS and ICE funding become such a central issue here when it comes to these talks?
Well, before the shooting of Alex Preddy, it looked probable that the funding package was going to go through as it had already been voted on. But in light of the killing of Alex Preddy, Senate Democrats want to be able to use that as a means to affect change within the Department of Homeland Security. So it's important to remember that as part of checks and balances, members of the executive branch have to come before Congress for hearings, and also Congress has the power of the purse. And so if an agency or a department doesn't do what Congress wants them to do, they could pull their funding. And so right now, Senate Democrats want to use that stick so that they can actually get changes to try to avoid the types of confrontations that we have seen in Minneapolis.
Mm-hmm. And Andra, I know a lot of our viewers are feeling like this is deja vu. Here we go again, coming down to the final days, the final hours. Why do these shutdown talks often come down to just hours at this point?
Well, I mean, some of it has to do with partisan polarization and the idea that you don't see bipartisan support for bills. You usually have to pick off a few members of the minority party at this point. It also was a function of the razor-thin majorities that we see in Congress. But this particular issue really does relate to seeing when we don't see oversight. And so this is an issue where you're seeing Democrats and Republicans having differing views about how to hold the Department of Homeland Security and ICE accountable for the behavior that they're seeing, that many people on both sides are seeing as troubling in Minneapolis.
All right, Andra, before you go, I do want to ask you this. What's the sign that you think today or tomorrow, what will be the sign to let us know that a deal could be coming together before the deadline?
Well, in terms of sort of like the broad scope of the bill, I think the question will be, can DHS be pulled out of the funding package in general? That's going to require all of the senators to support that. So if you cannot see them be able to sever or separate the DHS part of the bill from the rest of the bill, that's probably not a good sign.
All right, we'll be watching it. Professor Andra Gillespie, we always appreciate your insight. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.